We're gonna talk about the discs themselves and how many you should use. Now, take a look at the slide first before we get into this pad here. Spacing is most critical on the nesting areas. 6 inches maximum, okay? What we mean by that is the space from one disc to the next, center to center, should never be more than 6 inches if you're dealing with a nesting site. Otherwise, 10 inches. So we're going to treat this, this little pad right here as an actual nesting area. Okay, let's pretend that everything in the orange area had overhead protection on this area and birds are nesting on this area. We want to make sure we use 6-inch spacing. And one of the easiest tools we have is right in the box, ready to go, and that is the other disc. We place 3 discs together just like this. We take out the middle one. There you go, 6-inch spacing. Very simple. And of course, you could use the lid. As you're removing the lid, you can use that as your spacer and continue this process. What about the entire area though here? We want to make sure we maintain this sort of 6-inch spacing. Well, you're going to want to cover this whole area, because if we leave it as it is right here, we're just going to see that the birds are going to move to either side, especially in the nesting area. So covering the core area in a 6-inch spacing pattern, you can use your judgment on it, but this is what the box is all about. On the box itself, as you see on the slide, that little indicator is on every box, and it's showing the spacing and what is proper. Now, this here is, of course, a nesting area, but perhaps something like this might be even a better use. We're adding one more extra disc. This isn't a huge cost, but on the nesting area, we want to be very thorough about this. This is your whole key to the spacing. In other words, if you leave the staging areas that lead to the nesting alone, but you treat the nesting area very well, you're still going to have some good results. You won't get the best results. Best results are going to be involving this area here where they're nesting, along with the staging area, and then this area here, the 10-inch spacing can apply. I'm going to show you a quick little example of how that would work with these discs here. We showed you earlier that one disc is the 6-inch. Well, you can use 2 discs, and there's your what we usually consider the maximum distance that you would want to place discs apart. So we just repeat this whole process, right? You're getting the idea, the 10-inch spacing, and then we can just eyeball it here. In general, something like this, right? We want to space them as evenly as possible. It's not as critical as the nesting area. We see how much coverage we have in the nesting area. This will take care of that staging area. The birds are trying to get to this area when they're returning to their nest. They may wander around a little bit and explore this area as a more comfortable place than they're nesting. But the point is, once they realize that this nesting site is no longer a viable solution, and especially if they had eggs or nest in this area and it was treated, they abandon this site. So that's your key to the spacing there. Hopefully that's a helpful view of the product itself. I'm going to leave these discs for some other demonstrations here afterwards. Now, as far as the placement strategy though, we want to give this example here. Where does the optical gel belong? Well, optical gel belongs where the birds place their feet. If you keep that mentality on the product, you're going to understand and get much better results. So in other words, the birds are going to land on this structure up here, and they're going to place their feet up here. So that's why we're putting it where the birds place their feet, especially in that final destination of the nesting area. But you want to focus on the staging and nesting areas where they place their feet. Some people think that you're going to just place discs around. Let's say there was a wall up here. You could place them this way. That's really a waste of optical gel. I just know from experience. It certainly doesn't hurt to throw some extra disc into a site, but what we don't want to see is things like this. This photo on the left is just an example where somebody thought that you would place them up on the wall because optical gel will create what we call a no-fly zone. Well, no, optical gel does not create a force field that birds will not fly through. They will fly through. They'll actually fly next to and over the disc. So they're not going to be completely repelled out of a complete area. They're going to investigate. And the point is that by putting it where they place their feet, they're going to abandon that site. And there's your secret of optical gel. Not for solar panels either. You wouldn't put this around the base of a solar panel. The nesting area is underneath the solar panel. And then also not dock door openings. I just had a customer this morning from Texas asking about dock doors, wanting to put this along the bottom of a gap in the dock door. The birds are going to fly over. If it's not their final destination where they're going, they will fly over the product.